yeah, straight off the plane into the robot hotel. I did see it was a robot hotel, but I didn't quite realise that only staff members would be robots. My sleep-deprived brain could not actually work out if these robots were meant to look like humans or they were humans meant to look like robots for the first couple of minutes. But yeah, once the robots checked me in, I swiftly went upstairs and found my toilet, which also blew me away as well. It had about what seemed to be 20 different functions. You can sanitize your front, sanitize your rear, sanitize your wand. It seemed to be 50 years ahead of us in toilet years. The bloody toilet seat was also heated as well, which kind of blew my mind. So what can I say about Tokyo? I only spent 24 hours there. What an amazing city. I could easily spend a week there. I really didn't touch the sides at all. It was so clean, so safe, so much stuff going on, and so diverse. I reckon the food and the nightlife there is absolutely amazing. Which brings me on to the bullet train that I took. I was really excited to get one of these. It's kind of a mythical thing, being from United Kingdom. You hear about these amazing trains that are always on time, and how fast they are. It's also mythical for a train to even be on time in England anyway. So yeah, I loved every minute I spent on these bullet trains. They are wicked. They're also so safe, so smooth, so clean, just really cool looking and really fast. So arriving into Nagano, into Hakuba, where I was staying for the season. So I've got to say, one of my favourite parts of Japan is the shrines. They were scattered all around Japan, mostly up in the hills where we were, but it would involve these long walks up the mountains, up these stairs to get to the shrines. So the two main religions in Japan is Shinto or Buddhism, and the shrines work slightly different, and the way you pray is slightly different depending on the religion. But yeah, this was honestly one of my favourite things to do, being up in those woods around the shrines. It just felt so peaceful, and it was really therapeutic for your brain. And yeah, just walking around in settings like that was amazing. It honestly felt like I was in a Mortal Kombat fight scene, to be honest. Like Kano or Raiden was just going to pop out of nowhere and offer me a fight. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, so onto the skiing and the snow. It snowed a lot. The actual locals and the Japanese people they said that the season I was there actually wasn't a heavy snowfall season. I would love to experience what they meant by that, because it snowed so much. Peak season, it snowed heavy snowfall 3-4 times a week. You're looking at 3 or 4 pound a day a week, which is insane. The actual skiing quality on the piste, you're not going to hit that much ice because of how much it snows, and the off-piste was amazing. So, it was actually the best skiing I have ever done, including in Europe. One thing worth mentioning with the resorts where I was in Japan is the infrastructure. So a lot of the chairlifts and gondolas, they are pretty outdated. It's not exactly been updated over time. So it meant that if the wind was high or they needed to do maintenance on the lifts, they would shut the resorts and some parts of the resorts. So you do have to be wary of that. You do have to check the weather. But with Hakuba, at least, it had 4 or 5 resorts scattered around, which means you could, go from one resort to the other if it was shut and still get some really good skiing in. Didn't actually get much footage of my own skiing this season, just because I was teaching a lot and unfortunately I was injured a lot. So I will be definitely returning myself. But yeah, you've got really good snow and skiing at a really reasonable lift pass price, so that is a win-win. Food and drink is, I found, generally cheap in Japan, to be honest with you, if you're going and just buying stuff from a supermarket or the store. Obviously, when you're in the mountains on the resort, that is where the food prices did rocket up a bit, just as you get that anywhere else in the world. But yeah, lift passes and food is cheap, but accommodation and transport is what you're really going to be paying for in Japan when you're skiing. Next, we've got to move on to one of my favourite parts, and that is the food of Japan. It was actually my favourite food before I'd gone to Japan, so I was really excited to try it. It's just the freshness of the fish there and the way they do the rice. You just can't get that anywhere else in the world, in my opinion. If you get sushi outside of Japan, it's always dressed up to the nines with loads of garnish, but I do feel like that's to mask the fact that it's just missing the taste that I was getting from this food. So yeah, I would recommend the fatty tuna if you ever go to Japan. They do this extra tuna where it's plumped up, it's got marbling in it, almost like wagyu, and it just melts in your mouth. You don't even have to touch it or chew it. It just melts away. So my favourite places to eat were these sushi booths. You'd order your sushi on this iPad, and honestly, you could eat your body weight in sushi and be full for about £15. Honestly, it was crazy. Like that whole tower there, you're not looking past £30 for everyone. So yeah, it was amazing. I could honestly eat there 3 or 4 times a week. Stay away from the sea urchin. I actually had to go to the shitter before I'd even paid the bill after trying that, and I'm pretty sure that's what Mateus is walking back from right now. But yeah, that looked like someone had snotted on a bit of rice. It was gloopy, it was jelly-like, and it was yellow. I would stay away from that unless you want a very quick laxative. So some of the crazy things I saw: spam sushi, more sushi, warm corn drinks in the vending machines. That's how you sit at most of the tables in Japan, with your legs crossed underneath. Not good for if you've got bad knees. If you wanted a burger, you could still find one, obviously. The fresh fish was the best part, and they can really, really, really cook eggs. I'm sure you've all seen by the Instagram reels, but they do these omelettes that are cooked on the outside, still runny in the middle. Amazing. And yeah, obviously boxes on boxes of noodles. So I slowed down this last part just because there's a few monstrosities. So that's the ski instructor's pizza. That's blasphemous. Sorry if there's any Italians watching this. That's a mouldy ice cream cake, and that is cod and cheese sticks, fish and cheese. This is savoury custard. I actually have a big problem with this. It was the worst thing, one of the worst things I ever tasted, and I can't eat custard now. They are amazing looking pancakes, and this is a matcha Kit Kat. Their desserts are lovely, the matcha, and they use a lot of cream and dairy. Yeah, so onto the booze and the nightlife. The Japanese love a drink, especially the whiskey, as you can see. I didn't go out too much, but the karaoke bars, they stayed open till late. There was no clubs or raves, so to speak, till 6 in the morning, but the karaoke bars did get pretty damn lively, and there was always a DJ on hand as well. I just met some amazing people, some friends for life, some friends that I'm going to be meeting real soon in Canada. That's one of the perks of traveling around the world, is you get to have connections in all different parts of the globe, The people you meet, to me, is what makes your trip, and I was surrounded by such amazing people. So shout out to Jimmy. He was this Australian dude that I met out there, super chill guy. He was the bus driver for our ski school. I noticed that he actually on Facebook had a mutual friend with me called Daisuke, who was a mountain biker I met in Queenstown, who was also Japanese, and I knew he was out here, but I didn't know they were friends, and I didn't know they lived so close. But yeah, I was able to go mountain biking after the season ended with Daisuke and Jimmy. And wow, that was one of the best days of my life. I'm never going to forget that. And thank you so much to Jimmy for that road trip. That was really special, and that's why you go travelling around the world and meeting people for those particular memories. So yeah, I've got to talk about the wildlife. They had snow monkeys, which was incredible to see. I'd never actually seen a monkey in the wild, ever. I'd never been to anywhere where they were native to. So I knew these snow monkeys were around. I didn't know if I'd ever see one. We got told that they do come into Hakuba, Hapo area where I was, but I didn't expect to see them. And then I was teaching a group one day, and there was a lot of people looking at the trees and recording, and I turned around and here they were. This is my first ever time to see monkeys in the wild, and they were all up in the trees, and I was blown away that I was seeing monkeys for the first time in snow and trees. It was like, I'd never even imagined it. So then here is the monkey park so basically these monkeys, I swear there's about 150 monkeys, and they all lived right next to this natural hot pool. Where else would you pick to live in the middle of some cold, snowy mountains? But yeah, become a tourist attraction, and you go visit them. Obviously, you don't touch them; they're still, wild animals, free to roam. It'd be very stupid to do that. But yeah, this is where they lived. They'd chosen to live at this natural hot pool, which Japan has all over these mountains. So yeah, just in the way that the Japanese people and people use natural onsens to go and relax. It's the same. It's the same springs and the same underwater thermals that are creating this natural hot spring for the monkeys. So yeah, it was amazing to see something like that, and I made sure when my parents came to visit me that they also went and saw the monkeys too. I was definitely missing my dog from home, and there was a lot of dogs around Hapo where we were. I mean, you gotta love dogs. They're just untold amounts of joy and happiness, really. And yeah, I was certainly missing mine. They also had a beautiful place to live. What a place for a dog to live. But yeah, I actually ended up saving and rescuing a dog that we discovered just walking around by herself when we tried to look at this bird, this massive bird that was on the jetty in the lake. We pulled up and then we found this dog walking around in the snow by himself. So we took him into the car, warmed him up and reunited him with his owner, bless him. And yeah, I also made a lovely relationship with this weird looking doggo that I kept bumping into on a night out. He was kind of called the Hakuba fox. He was lovely. He would always just be on the hunt for scraps, for food and stuff. Obviously, he only had one thing on his mind. But apparently it's actually being accompanied by a fox or being in the presence of a fox in Japan it's got a spiritual meaning to it. I don't know if anyone else knows that or has anything they can comment and educate me on. But I kept bumping into the same fox every night out, and so did a lot of people. And I hope he's doing well. He was beautiful looking fox, looked really well kept, and had a really lovely demeanour and was really quite friendly around humans. It was quite funny actually. He had a bit of sass, that was him ripping out the rubbish out of my hands because I didn't have any food for him. That was Toji, and that's where we found him actually, while we were just looking at this bird that was on the jetty. I've got to mention Jimmy again because on our road trip he showed me all these bikes that he had in his house, and he had some serious mountain bike history there. Bikes that were some of the first mountain bikes from Cove in Canada. He had them, he had demo frames. It was insane. It just went on and on. So that was these old Coves, these dirt jumpers there. There's honestly pieces of mountain bike history. He had that P2 there, that white dirt jumper. I'll get onto that. But that red line, that was a race BMX that was actually used by someone in the Olympics. He was just pulling this stuff out of nowhere. I was actually blown away by it. That's a brand new Octane 1 dirt jumper. Now, this P2 was one of the original demos bikes that they made. So that's the original P2 demo, which is crazy, the condition of it in this day and age. And that was all in his old like a barn rebuild, authentic Japanese house that he'd used, still the same old oak and stuff. It was amazing. It's not just the bikes. Japan is steeped in so much history. It was amazing to learn about the samurai, the ninjas, and all the old dynasties. And also just the Western influence and how we came to discover Japan. It's got a lot of history, some good, some dark. But yeah, my season got cut short through to injuries. I wanted to stay for summer. I wanted to keep exploring. I wanted to keep learning more and more about the culture and history of Japan. There was so much stuff to do there, and I wanted to do more mountain biking. But yeah, sometimes it doesn't go as planned, and I will definitely be returning.